from New York City for your viewing pleasure. Terry Collins of the New York Mets. Look who's back. Carlos Beltran, hot commodity. David Wright, great glove, big bat, Marlin killer. And Jose Reyes, Mr. Excitement, having a monster year. Sudden mood change. The Marlins were just swept by San Diego. What happened? Well, not much hitting, not much pitching, not much of anything. Can the fish turn some cloudy weather into better times? Marlins and Mets. A weekend in South Florida means a lot of things to a lot of people. For baseball fans, it's a terrific matchup this weekend. It's the Mets and the Marlins. These two teams haven't played a lot this year, but that's going to change here. Look out. Hey, easy. What the heck is going on out there? The Marlins trying to bounce back after getting swept by the San Diego Padres. Old friends renew acquaintances. Marlins trying to turn it around, and Chris Volstad gets the ball and the start against the Mets. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The Marlins were the hottest team in the National League before the Padres got here. And I guess we'll know pretty quickly this weekend, Tommy, if the three-game sweep of the hands of the Padres was a blip on the radar or a downward trend.
Well, that's right, because the Padres are up in Philadelphia taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. We'll kind of keep our eye on that series.
Now, of course, before the Padres, the Marlins played that one-night stand in New York. They did not see these three guys. They beat the Mets, but these guys were not with the ball club. But they're back, all of them. Carlos Beltran, Jose Reyes, and David Wright.
Beltran had a bit of the flu bug, and right now he's been on base 27 straight games. Jose Reyes was playing a game in the minor leagues just to get himself ready. He leads the league in hits and batting average, triples, and much, much more. David Wright was playing in Port St. Lucie. He's back after a stress fracture in that back. David Wright's a lifetime 300 hitter, and they need him in that lineup as well.
Coaches, even parents at times will say, now this is a teachable moment. Here's where we can get through to him. And I think that was the case last time Chris Volstad pitched with Jack McKeon.
Well, he had that moment on the mound in Chicago. It's been a rough go the last three starts for Chris Volstad with an ERA of over 9. He's given up a lot of base hits, a lot of runs in those innings. We have seen moments of fire, and I think that's what Jack wants to see a little more of. And he certainly made his point clear on the mound at Wrigley Field in Volstad's last start, just going 3 innings against the Chicago Cubs. Get tough. That's what Jack was talking to Chris Volstad about.
And remember, he pulled Volstad after 3 innings. The Marlins bullpen held that lead, and the Marlins won that game. Coventry Healthcare of Florida starters. Mike Pelfrey is having a similar season to Volstad.
You know, he's a big guy who's similar in personality to Chris Volstad. He's okay, but he's always struggled against the Marlins. When he's pitched well, he's lost. When he's not pitched well, he's lost. He's 1-7 in his career against the Fish.
Well, the Marlins just saw one of the best bullpens in the National League in the Padres. The Mets pen is tough right now. The Marlins have shown some improvement in the bullpen from last year. We'll talk about that pen when we return. Mets and Marlins moments away.
Cameron Maben trade, and the bullpen for the Marlins has really improved this year.
They really have, and you talk about that Cameron Maben trade. They got Edward Mujica and Ryan Webb in those two pieces. Edward Mujica is only leading the team in wins right now out of the bullpen with 8. So when you combine their numbers, you look at the Padres ERA versus Marlins. Okay, edge to the Padres, much lower ERA, but they've worked much more innings, 8 more innings on the Marlins side. Look at batting average against, 222 to 226. Inherited runner score, which is probably the most important stat out of the bullpen, is not allowing that guy that you inherit to score. Second in the National League in inherited runners scored. So when you look at the right numbers on the right, other than ERA, I think the Marlins have done just as good, if not better, a job than the Padres bullpen has.
Second in the National League in 3 of those 4 categories, and we saw, unfortunately, really a lot of the bullpen in that Padres series. Anibal Sanchez, who started Game 1, was the only pitcher that lasted past the 5th inning. Ricky came out after 1+, and Javi after 4 1/3. Jack says everybody's available in the bullpen because Jack does, but how taxed do you think that group is right now?
I don't think it's too bad right now. Obviously, if the starting rotation keeps going shortened starts like they have been, Jack's not afraid to run every pitcher out there on a nightly basis. So we need the starters to go deeper into games, give him a little bit of a break.
Not afraid to put somebody out there mid-batter, too. That's Jack for you. Chris Volstad will get the start tonight for the Marlins, hoping that he doesn't have to see too much of the bullpen in his performance. Marlins-Mets, Game 1 coming up next when we return right here on Fox Sports Florida.
Here for 3, the reinforced New York Mets from the last time the Marlins saw them. And the guy that steps in the box to open things up to face Chris Volstad. You see the numbers for Volstad, 5-8, a 5.59 ERA. It's Jose Reyes that he takes down low. Volstad, last 5 starts, an ERA of over 5.
You know, the record 3-1.
Ground ball up the middle. Infante backhands. And that's a nice start to keep Reyes off base. Here's the Mets lineup. Brought to you by Warren Henry. Reyes is back. Justin Turner is at second base. Carlos Beltran's in right field. David Wright back in the cleanup spot. Daniel Murphy at first. Angel Pagan in center. Lucas Duda finds himself in left. Ronnie Paulino, the former Marlin, the catcher. Mike Pelfrey hits ninth.
I think it's interesting that Wright, having been out a couple of months, gets himself right back in that number 4 spot in the lineup.
Here is Justin Turner, and he takes a strike.
With the way, excuse me, Rich, the Padres scored in the first inning, 9 runs in the first inning, I think it'll be a bonus just for the Marlins to come out, be a little plus for them to keep the Mets off the scoreboard in the first inning.
We touched upon that in Marlins Live. You don't often hear that in baseball, but the way that series with the Padres went, you get a real sense that the Marlins fell behind 3 or 4 runs in this one, that it would not be a good thing. Liner to right, Stanton charges in, and he picks it up on a hop. Just for the team's psyche to get into this ball game and not fall behind. Here's the Marlins defensively.
Take a look at the Marlins with that nice .985 fielding percentage with Morrison, Brian Peterson back in there. Nice throw from center the other day to nail a runner at the plate. The infield setting up the same. Buck behind the plate, and the defense brought to you by Warren Henry.
Now Carlos Beltran, who may have played his last game in New York as a Met, because the Mets aren't scheduled to return home before the trading deadline, and everybody seems to want Carlos Beltran. The Mets right now kicking the tires, I'm sure, on a lot of different deals and a lot of different prospects. Terry Collins has done a masterful job of keeping his team focused on the field and playing hard this year.
Yeah, will Beltran be in Philadelphia? Will he be in Boston? Will he be in Atlanta? Most feel he won't be with the Mets, though.
John Buck has that one pop out of his glove, and the count is 2-0. Terry Collins, a Major League veteran in terms of managing, a guy that had been out of the manager's seat in the big leagues, however, had been over managing in Japan, in China, and in the World Baseball Classic as well.
I think one thing that helped Collins, he was the Mets minor league field coordinator last year. So he had a little feel of the organization, saw some of these guys, knew who they were before taking over.
Volstad's 3-0 pitch. And it's on the outside corner to Beltran. Well, there's no questioning the career that Beltran has had. And it seems like he is back healthy. The numbers that he's put up, he's got 30 doubles this year, 15 homers. And it's outside. Volstad walks him. So a single by Turner, a walk to Beltran, and here comes David Wright for his first at bat since mid-May in the big leagues.
A lot of times when a player, especially a productive player such as David Wright, and he has had a productive career, he come back, maybe you settle him in down in the order a little bit, but he's right back in the fire in that cleanup spot. He cleaned up at Port St. Lucie in a few games, I know that.
So it's right against Volstad, and Chris misses outside. Noted Marlin killer. There are the career numbers for Wright. The interesting thing about the matchup between Wright and Volstad, and actually the Mets and Volstad, is that Chris against the Mets in 5 starts has a career 3.18 ERA, and Wright drives it down the right field line. That's a base hit. Stanton over to get it. Turner will score. Beltran to second, and David Wright is back.
And just what the Marlins did not want to have happen has happened. What a great swing by David Wright. Mentioned his time in Port St. Lucie. He was 10 for 21 in the Florida State League, and just jumps back into the cleanup spot and cleans up. And
always been able to do that. Take the ball the other way.
Productive player. Last 6 years, he's averaged 26 home runs, 104 RBIs. And those types of hits were the type of hits the Padres got that entire series.
So now Daniel Murphy is up, runner second and third, and Volstad misses high. And obviously, if you're Jack McKeon, you got to be concerned, because the Marlins bullpen has been taxed on some really short starts. Wednesday, Ricky Nolasco an inning and a third. Javi Vasquez 4 1/3 yesterday. Change up by Chris, a good pitch. It's 1-1.
And would have been worse yesterday, Rich, had Javi Vasquez not taken one for the team after that 2.5-hour delay and came back out and pitched.
And that's something we talked about when he came back, and how rare it would be for a soon-to-be 35-year-old to endure a 2.5-hour delay. That's in the right field. That's a base hit. And that'll score Beltran. Wright stops at third. And so the Mets are teeing off on Volstad.
We talked about Daniel Murphy up in New York for that one game. Doesn't matter where you put him, and he's played many different positions. But wherever it is, he has that swing. And he produces, hitting over 300. He's in the top 10 in the National League in hitting.
Everybody in Jacksonville knows all about that swing. As a kid coming up and as a collegiate at Jacksonville. Randy St. Clair out to the mound to talk to Chris Volstad. So the Mets have struck for 2, and this is eerily similar to the San Diego Padres script, which the Padres followed in every ballgame. They got 2 runs in the first inning on Tuesday night, and that was in a 4-0 win. 4 runs on Wednesday night. That was in a 14-3 win. And 3 runs yesterday in the 5-3 win. So this whole first inning hurdle for the Marlins isn't just Chris Volstad, it's staff-wide.
Yeah, and it's really demoralizing for your offense. You know, you get out there and, okay, every time you come up to hit, you're 3 or 4 runs down.
That one pops away from Buck. Holding it first is Murphy. It's a Mets ball club that just won 2 of 3 from St. Louis. They lost yesterday 6-2. Terry Collins. You know, Collins is a guy that's had success managing the big leagues, but has never won a division. In Anaheim in 3 seasons, he had 2 second-place finishes. In Houston in 3 seasons, he had 3 second-place finishes. Volstad misses away, and he's gone 3-0 right now on Angel Pagan. And for the life of me, I don't know where you look if you're Jack McKeon.
I think you look right at Chris Volstad, and he's got to stay out there. That's where you look.
To center field, Pagan hits it deep. Peterson goes back, and he lines it up and makes the catch just shy of the track. That's going to score a run. In comes Wright. Pagan hits a 400-foot sacrifice fly, and the Mets are off to a flying start. It's 3-0.
Well, the green light for Pagan, a guy who has struggled this year, hitting just 237, but put a good swing on that 3-0 fastball.
Here's Lucas Duda, a big kid out of USC, who amazingly still hasn't hit a home run this year. For a guy that was prodigious with his power in the minor leagues.
Has over 100 at bats, 113 to be exact.
Hit 4 home runs in 29 games last year with the Mets. In fact, I remember him hitting a long drive in this ballpark against the Marlins last year. Murphy at first, Volstad to the plate with a fastball that misses up. Yeah, the uneven season of Chris Volstad. You can go up and down his start line. We told you that his last 3 were not the best, but the 3 before that were outstanding. Smoked into right field. The Mets have 4 hits combined with the walk to Beltran.
Well, one of the things we talked about, and we showed you earlier tonight, the splits with Chris Volstad and the struggles he's had to get to left-handed hitters. Left-handers hitting .316, slugging percentage. 15 of the 16 home runs he's allowed have been to lefties.
Those are dramatic splits.
And between switch hitters and lefties in the lineup, there are a lot of them.
And you can see how a team like Philadelphia has eaten him alive with all the left-handed power that they've got in Philadelphia with the switch hitters.
And it goes back to what we've said. Down the road, if you're looking ahead, last year the Marlins made improvements in areas that they wanted. Defense, bullpen. If they need to take that next step, because they're in this National League East, got to have a left-hander, maybe two in the rotation.
Paulino with the count 2-1. Marlins saw Paulino in New York on Monday. He bangs that one off the mask of John Buck. Paulino, a likable guy, and as Marlin fans know, he can hit lefties quite well. He's hitting right-handers pretty well this year on top of that. But of course his time with the Marlins ended with a 50-game suspension for performance-enhancing drugs. The Mets brought him to camp, and Paulino, a guy that is signed through next year.
He's got those 1700s mutton chops going. Got the mutton chop look.
Sort of the colonial.
Or was that 1800s? I'm not sure. I wasn't real good in history.
You can go late 1700s. Founding fathers look. Three-two. Ground ball out to second. Infante has it, fires to first, and the Mets, just like the Padres, jump on the fish in the first inning. 3-0. After beating the Mets Monday in New York, Warren Henry brings you the Marlins lineup. Emilio Bonifacio is at third base. Omar Infante at second. Logan Morrison in left. Hanley's at short. Gabby Sanchez at first. Mike Stanton in right field. Brian Peterson back in the lineup in center. John Buck hits eighth, and Chris Volstad hits ninth.
So many times over the last few years, the Marlins have seen the 6'7" right-hander Mike Pelfrey. We told you the story a lot. He won his major league debut, and it was against the Marlins. But he has since lost 7 straight. He's 1-7 in his career against Florida. Last 8 starts, though, for Pelfrey, His ERA is 3.44, but he's 2-5, not getting a whole lot of support. Lots of sinkers, but a guy the Marlins over the years have had good at-bats against.
He's faced the Marlins twice this year. Marlins beat him on opening night. No decision. He pitched well. 7 innings and 2 hits. And this is start number 3 for Pelfrey against the Fish. Bonifacio takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Emilio Bonifacio, a 20-game hit streak. And he lines that one into right field. It's 21.
Hey, don't waste any time, Bonnie.
So 21 hits, or 21 games with a hit for Bonifacio. Hitting close to 400 over that span with 18 runs and an on-base percentage of .475.
In the 21 straight games now, 30 base hits for Bonifacio, and he continues to up that on-base percentage, and he continues to smile.
Here's Omar Infante. Bonifacio's running on the first pitch. Paulino's throw, not in time. Bonifacio has it stolen.
I like that aggressiveness. Take the chance, be aggressive, even though the Marlins are down 3-0.
Because against the Padres, the Marlins fell in such big holes, Tommy, that their running game was essentially shut down because of it.
You got to prove you can run a little bit. Bonifacio, 14 out of 15 in stolen bases. That's stolen base number 20 on the year now.
So Bonifacio's in scoring position. The pitch was called a strike as Infante digs in, waiting on the 0-1 pitch.
Well, we've talked a little bit about Mike Pelfrey. We'll tell you in our scouting report, brought to you by Metro PCS. Low 90s with sink. A lot of sinkers. His changeup's like a split. That's his off-speed pitch. He'll use a slider. And we talked about the record, his career record against the Marlins.
0-2 to Infante. And there's a foul ball. Now, the last at bat Infante had, of course, yesterday was the pop-up that Orlando Hudson made the incredible catch and then crashed into the wall and had to be taken by a stretcher off the field. The good news for the Padres and for Orlando Hudson, he was taken to a nearby hospital, examined, released, did not fly with the team, and has rejoined the team tonight up in Philadelphia. 0-2 pitch. Infante hits it to center field. Back goes Pagan. Bonifacio tags up. Pagan makes the catch, and Bonifacio will scamper over to third. So not a hit, but at least it advances the runner. Here comes Logan Morrison.
And here's a look at the defense, brought to you by Warren Henry. Lucas Duda, Pagan, and Beltran in that outfield. Wright, a Gold Glover 2 times. Reyes and Turner up the middle. Daniel Murphy, Ronnie Paulino behind the plate. It's pretty good defense for the Mets this year.
Especially with Beltran back in right and Reyes back at short. Morrison takes a strike. Logan Morrison in his career has 7 at-bats against Mike Pelfrey. 1 for 7. You see a season number against the Mets. Hanley Ramirez is on deck. Bonifacio's at third. The infield's back. Ground ball scores a run.
Also the first team that I've seen defensively play Logan Morrison so much to pull. Look at how far Wright's off the line. Reyes is up the middle. The thing that Eduardo Perez has worked with Logan on, and this is a great pitcher to work this on because he throws sinkers. Think line drive to short.
Ground ball right side will get the job done. Morrison is out. Bonifacio scores. And the Marlins are on the board. It's 3-1. Lomo doesn't have a whole lot of hits, but look at the RBIs. 20 now. And so that's the most in the National League. So he's driven in 20 runs.
Yeah, that was also number 50 on the year. So a productive out. He'd like to have a better swing. He's still thinking about that. But happy to get the run in.
Here's Hanley Ramirez. Ramirez has the most extensive
history against Pelfrey. A .256 hitter in 39 at-bats. And he has homered against this big right-hander out of Wichita State. It's a fascinating matchup, this pitching matchup here tonight, because you've got two guys from the exact same draft that were taken within 7 selections of each other. 2005 draft, Pelfrey was 9th overall, Volstad was 16th overall. And they're both around the same size. Volstad at 6'8", 6'9", Pelfrey 6'7".
Yeah, I think Pelfrey at 6'7", a little more girth on him. He's a little heavier. And, of course, Chris Volstad, a high school draft pick. And as you mentioned, Pelfrey out of Wichita State.
Reyes deep in the hole, loads up, and that explosive arm throws a laser across the diamond. Marlins do get a run, but the Mets lead it 3-1. Featuring a post-game merengue concert with Fuego and Los Hermanos Rosario, presented by Dominican Republic Ministry of Tourism. See the Marlins take on the Mets at 7:10. This drop-in choreographed. How about that?
That's right. We haven't had one of those in a while.
Fans also get a Marlins All-Star poster courtesy of Franklin Communications, 1-877 Marlins. All right. Part 2 now for Chris Volstad. He gets Pelfrey, and then the second time through the Mets order, a lineup that scored 3 runs against him in the first inning.
Well, a chance for him to get an out. Pelfrey 1 for 31 on the year. Not a good hitter. And Chris has fallen behind 2-0.
Boy, he's 3-0 on Mike Pelfrey. Lost him.
You got a 6'7" target and a guy who's 1 for 31, and Chris really didn't come close to throwing a strike to him.
And so up comes Reyes now.
So you ask yourself, if he can't come close in throwing a strike to the pitcher, how can he make his pitches that have to be good pitches to guys like Reyes and Beltran and Wright?
It's a good question. Reyes actually bounced out back in the first. Jose Reyes is at the top of a lot of categories, or close to it. He's the leading hitter in the National League. Tops in hits. Second in stolen bases with 30. Michael Bourne has 35. On base percentage, he's in the top 10. He is 7th at .392. Volstad flips up a changeup for a strike. And it's 0-1. And the Mets have all but decided, you know what? Jose Reyes is going to stay a Met, or at least for the rest of the season stay a Met, and hope that they can keep him here long term.
Well, with their trade of K-Rod to Milwaukee, and with all the talk surrounding Carlos Beltran right now, it certainly appears that way. And I don't know if they've officially said that, but they've leaned in that direction for sure.
Pulls a ground ball towards second. Infante had time, I thought, to get the out at second.
Not a bad idea, though. That's a good choice. If he gets the out at second, Reyes can steal second. Now you have speed out there. By getting the out at first, you've got a pitcher out there in Mike Pelfrey, who doesn't have the same speed Reyes has. I've actually seen second basemen deliberately get the out at first. I don't know if Omar Infante did this deliberately, but it's a good play. Because I guarantee Reyes is moving and trying to steal if he's at first base.
Justin Turner takes a breaking ball outside. Turner started the parade in the first with a single, a walk to Beltran, RBI double by David Wright, RBI single Daniel Murphy. Angel Pagan finished it with a sacrifice fly. Ball and a strike. And Volstad steps off. Weathered tonight, 89 degrees, and although you may think it's stifling here, in New York the high today was 106.
Interesting that the Mets have fallen in the same situation as the Marlins this year. They've played better on the road. 4 games over 500 on the road and 4 games under at home.
Volstad misses inside, and he walks Justin Turner. So he gets to face Carlos Beltran. Jack McKeon starts pacing now in the Marlins dugout.
Well, he knows those splits. And you have the opportunity. You had the right-hander, Pelfrey. Couldn't throw strikes to him. He had the right-hander in Turner, and he walks him to get to the switch inning, Carlos Beltran.
And if you've just joined us, the splits that Tommy is talking about is Volstad against lefties as opposed to against righties. And obviously, Beltran, a switch hitter. Of the 16 homers he's allowed this year, 15 have been from the left side of the plate. Opposing hitters hitting .316 as lefties, .281 as righties. So the average isn't as disparate as the home runs, which are pretty incredible. Just 1 homer to a righty, 15 to lefties. Beltran's hit 15 on the season. A breaking ball by Chris to get a strike. Beltran leads the National League in doubles with his 30. Chris Young and Carlos Lee with 27. El Caballo representing.
Always good to have an El Caballo representation.
You wouldn't expect it as doubles.
No.
But he's in there.
I mean, he's probably hit a lot of hard singles off the Crawford boxes, too.
Beltran pops it up. Bonifacio over. And it's out of play. Speaking of Houston, the teams that are looking to acquire Carlos Beltran, whether it's the Giants or the Phillies or the Braves or the Red Sox, would love to get the type of production the Houston Astros got from Beltran when they acquired him from Kansas City, not only at the end of the regular season,
too,
but the postseason.
That's what everybody's drooling about.
He had one of the
now.
great postseasons in '04. He didn't even get to the World Series.
Hit 4 home runs in the division series against Atlanta. and 4 more home runs against the Cardinals in the championship series.
Of course, back then he was also a base stealer and a center fielder. But the beauty is he provides power and pop from either side of the plate. So if you're the Phillies and you're looking for right-handed pop against lefties, he could supply that. If you're the Giants and you're looking for left-handed pop against righties, he could supply that.
Even in the postseason in the championship series when he was with the Mets against the Cardinals, he had 3 home runs. So it's 11 postseason home runs.
2-2 coming. And Volstad misses inside. As you would expect, trailing 3-1 without a lot of control, Volstad has already thrown 46 pitches. And there's 1 out here in the second. Chopper towards Gabby. Volstad over. Little shovel. Nicely done. We haven't seen Gabby Sanchez use that move much this year, the little shovel with the glove. But he got it out cleanly, and Volstad is a very good athlete.
Yeah, he got it out nicely. There was a time that would have even been a closer play when Beltran was healthy with the legs. But there's a nice flip. That's nicely done. Chest high. And the out recorded, so 2 down.
David Wright now. Wright doubled down the right field line, his first at bat since mid-May. Stress fracture in his lower back. Said that he watched the telecast on Monday night.
So he
Port
was
St. Lucie.
basically doing his own little scouting report.
Yeah, absolutely.
Been a whole lot to do in Port St. Lucie, so.
Here's the 0-1. Come on, Tommy.
Figured I'll watch Rich and Hut.
We have some fine viewers up in Port St. Lucie, who I'm sure if we asked could find some good things to do on a Monday night. Well, Brian Sanchez is up and he starts to loosen up.
And watch Marlins baseball is one of them.
Wright fouls it back to the screen. Sanchez pitched 2/3 of an inning yesterday. You know, the first guy you'd like to go to was Burke Badenhop, but he almost had an outing, sort of a mini start on Wednesday when he came in for Nolasco. Volstad 1-2 on Wright.
Pretty good pitch with the breaking ball. But Wright was patient.
Here's a look.
Yeah, just off the plate. It's where you want to put it.
2-2 coming. Got him. Buried a sinker in on his hands. Volstad pitches out of the second and third spot. 3-1. Mets.
baseball, and often it's at the expense of his bats. He leads the majors in broken bats with 36, and one of the reasons maybe he only swings a 31-ounce bat, but he insists that it plays like a 34-ounce bat. I've got one of his bats here, and it's actually cracked. Now, he's broken 36, but he's probably cracked a dozen more. He said if he had to guess, it's upwards of 60, but he insists on playing with this size bat because he likes the way it feels. Two things that are different with Stanton's bats. One are the knobs on the end. It's hard to see on the bat that I have, but the one he's playing with tonight is much thicker on the end. Also, the way he holds it. He actually, I'm going to try and show you here, puts like 2 fingers past the end of the bat, so it extends his hand. Where Logan Morrison was talking to me, he keeps his hands right on the end. Stanton's come down below, and he says that helps compensate for how light the bat is. And he's tried the 34 ounces. He doesn't like it. I think he's tried the same size as Ryan Howard. He says it just doesn't feel right. He prefers the bat speed that he gets with this size. Guys?
He has made, and you notice Gabby Sanchez on that list too. Mike has made a little change. I was talking with Eduardo Perez. Mike was using this is a tiny bat, 33.5 inches, 31 ounces, but he's gone to 34 inches, 32 ounces.
Gabby fouls it back.
But the one he has right there on deck might be the lighter one, because I believe Eduardo said if you see the darker color bat, it's the little bit heavier one at 32 ounces.
That's incredibly light,
and that's a light bat.
And short, it seems, for a guy of his stature. Here's the 2. You might want to add one to Gabby's list.
And by the way, just an old saying and an old joke by old-time players, guys like Frank Howard and Dick Allen would use Mike Stanton's bat as a toothpick.
Well, Mark McGwire was a guy that did not use a real heavy bat. McGwire's bats were not of the old school variety. That's one of the areas where the game has changed, is hitters like Stanton have gone to the lighter bats. And the feeling is that they can generate better bat speed with it, but at the same time you'll hear the argument the other way that you get too much bat speed, you don't get enough mass.
Well, and at the same time, the strikeout numbers have gone up over that same period.
Belfry's out in front of him 0-2. Brian Peterson's on deck. And the big right-hander misses high. 1-2. Pelfrey last year, a very good year. He was 15-9, an ERA at 3.66. Stanton checked his swing.
See, I think with a light bat, it's even tougher to check your swing, too.
Pelfrey misses away, and the count runs full at 3-2. Mike flips a pop-up down the right field line. It's going to fall foul. I would expect for a guy like Mike Stanton, who is 21 and getting his first full season in the big leagues, the adjustments that he will make in terms of batting stance, hands, feet, will include bat. Size of bat, weight of bat.
The guy who starts out at his young age, by the time he's done, he will have made as many adjustments as batting stance guy.
Yeah, one of the true heroes of the game. Here's the 3-2. It's fouled back. If I never hear a reference about batting stance guy.
That's why I used that.
Golly, I had forgotten all about that guy, and with good reason. Here's the 3-2. That's a bolt. And it's fouled. There is if you like reading about baseball, in this week's Sports Illustrated, Not the one with Hope Solo on it, but the one with the Derek Jeter's rush for 3,000 on it. There is a great article on Carlos Ruiz, the Phillies catcher, and everybody knows him as the diminutive little catcher that is
kind of serious looking.
Pitchers love throwing to him. But in that article, apparently he is an absolute cut up in the clubhouse, and he imitates everybody on the team, from pitchers to hitters. Stanton drives that ball to right field. It's well hit. Back goes Beltran. Gone!
Stay with the white bat and touch first base, Mike.
He missed first. He has to go back to get it.
Stay with the bat, Mike. Good to see the opposite field shots. Remember the 2 balls he hit in Chicago at Wrigley Field. That's always a good sign. What a great at bat. That was pitch number 11. He's going to get it from some guys.
The last thing you want to do is hit a ball out of the park and get called out at first base on an appeal.
Pitch number 11, two-seamer. He stays back. He had a great battle and a great at bat. Shows you his power to the opposite field. Whoops. So one thing, when you hit one out, you got plenty of time.
So it's 3-2. Here's Peterson now. Brian Peterson, yesterday, you mentioned it late in the ball game. You really liked his approach at the plate. He was 1 for 4 in the game, but 3 of the 4 times he hit it hard. He lined to center, he lined to short, and he lined a single to right field.
Yeah, he has stayed real solid with his approach.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. Wow.
And continues to hit balls at guys.
That was hammered. Murphy did a nice job to get his glove down and then to hang on to it.
Last year, as you watch Brian Peterson scorch one, Mike Stanton, when he came up in 359 at bats, hit 22 home runs. He just hit number 21 in his 334th at bat.
He's right on schedule. Here is John Buck, and he takes outside. So one of the things that Stanton talked about, and even Eduardo Perez talked about on that series in Chicago, was hitting the ball to right center field. Something that Stanton said he was able to do when he was coming up in the minor leagues. That's where his power was, center field and right center. And I know that they have, just in his spray chart, 2 home runs to right field. Now there's 3.
Yeah, because the 2 in Chicago were in right field.
And you could almost count, remember the long home run at Citi Field? That wasn't dead center. That was off to the right field side of center field, the one that went 465 feet.
Mike Stanton now, by the way, 5 for 10 against Mike Pelfrey with 2 home runs.
3-1 coming to Buck with 2 outs. And he takes it outside. Pelfrey snaps his head back thinking that was a strike. You can see that icy glare in it, Mike Everett. And it was a strike. So the icy glare with reason.
Might get a couple of icy glares from Terry Collins, too.
Terry Collins is one of those managers.
And hear a few things
that
too.
Always has his game face on.
Yeah, he does. You walk by him in the clubhouse, and he's focused. He's walking quickly. Got something on his mind.
He's a bundle of energy. He had some great comments about Jack McKeon when the Marlins were in New York at his press conference before the game. And he's as high energy as they come. But he remarked, 80 years old, he said, I will not be managing when I'm 80 years old. I hope to be upright when I'm 80 years old.
He said he's making us all look bad.
One reporter said, "We'll never say never," and Collins glanced at him and said, "I'm saying never." Volstad fouls it back to the screen. A Wichita State shocker.
He's pitched this year a lot better at home too. 2-8 on the road. I mean, on the year he's 5-9, but he's 2-8 on the road, and an ERA in the upper fives.
And we've documented his struggles against the Marlins. He's never won a game here. This is start number 7. He's 0-3 with an ERA of close to 6 in this ballpark. Buck's running, Volstad swinging.
That's one of those things. If you're the Marlins, and I think they've had a good approach, and the key was keeping the Mets in the second inning from scoring, just tell yourself, stay close to this guy. He can't beat you. And that's the feeling you have to have.
And I think that's why Jack McKeon had Brian Sanchez warming up. Because Jack has that sense, and it was, the same sense the last time Volstad started in Chicago, that, you know what, this is a winnable game, and he didn't want to let it get away.
And right now, Volstad's having a good at bat. He fouled off a couple of fastballs. He's going to get another fastball. And another foul ball.
44 pitches so far for Pelfrey. Volstad in his 2 innings, 52 pitches. So you get a pretty good sense that this one might be decided by the bullpens. The Mets bullpen has been good lately. Marlins pen has been used a lot lately. Finally got him. Volstad strikes out. Mike Stanton hits one out. And the Marlins have chipped away at the 3-0 lead. Number 21 on the season. It's 3-2. From Cincinnati, Fox Saturday Baseball presented by AT&T this week. 4 Eastern, 3 Central. Atlanta trying to chase down the Phillies and, of course, the Reds right in the middle of the National League Central race. Mike Stanton driving a ball out to right field. The Marlins fell in a 3-0 hole, but they've come back to make it 3-2, so imperative Now for Chris Volstad to keep it right there.
Atlanta right now with the second best record in the National League. One more win than the Giants, who lead the West.
Giants lead in the West is 4 games. Pittsburgh and Milwaukee are tied in the Central, with St. Louis a game back, Cincinnati 4 back. Volstad, a breaking ball misses to Daniel Murphy. Murphy an RBI single is part of the 3-run first. Then you got Angel Pagan and Lucas Duda.
One of the things that Chris hasn't had an opportunity, he used it right there, hasn't gotten in that rhythm where he can establish pitches. Made a good pitch with a changeup, that last one.
One pitch foul back to the screen. Hall of Fame weekend getting set to start. Dave Van Horn goes into the Hall of Fame tomorrow. He will join us live from Cooperstown tomorrow night by phone during the telecast. I know he's got a lot of schmanky parties to go to.
Oh yeah,
after the induction.
Places to be.
In the air, Hanley is calling for it. And he makes the catch. So there's an out. Here comes Angel Pagan, and here comes our nightly reminder. This copyright telecast is presented by the authority of the Florida Marlins, may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form. Counts or scripts of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. VIN number 10395. How do those guys do it that fast?
Yeah, they speed up the tape.
Oh.
It's digitally enhanced.
Someday I hope to be digitally enhanced. That was fouled out of play, and it's 0-1. Angel Pagan's sacrifice fly went 400 feet in the first. That drove home David Wright. And tomorrow, Robbie Alomar, Bert Blyleven, and Pat Gillick go into the Hall. Or excuse me, on Sunday they go into the Hall.
And tomorrow, along with Dave Van Horn, it'll be longtime writer Bill Conlon out of Philadelphia and longtime executive Roland Heeman.
Roland Heeman getting the Buck O'Neill Award.
I'll always remember Dave Dombrowski when he first got out of college and started working with the White Sox. He might have even been an intern. And he said one of the things he did, he was a shadow to Roland Heeman. Anything Roland or wherever he was, that's where Dave Dombrowski was, and he learned a great deal from Roland Heeman.
Here's the 1-2, and it's inside. There's a terrific article on foxsports.com. J.P. Morosi wrote it on Pat Gillick, and Gillick going into the Hall of Fame. It's general managers aren't necessarily well represented in the Hall of Fame, but Gillick is certainly deserving, and it's a fascinating read because it'll give you a sense of not only what type of a baseball man Gillick is, but what type of a person he is.
And I would think down the road, the next general manager to get the call would be John Sherholtz.
That's a pretty good bet.
Be nice if Bobby Cox and John Sherholtz were to go in at the same time.
With Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox.
It could be a Braves fan fest up in Cooperstown.
Pagan strikes out, and Volstad doing a nice job of bouncing back.
Yeah, better pitches, establishing more of some of the off-speed stuff, but a lot of that is because he's been able to get ahead. Another good changeup. Remember, it was Pagan who hit that deep sacrifice fly. He got a fastball. Remember, it's 3-0. But a good changeup there.
Lucas Duda takes a strike.
Get ahead, you can use that other stuff. So much better last inning and even better this inning.
0-2. Duda just gets a piece. Buck was hoping it would roll out in front of the plate. Counts 0-2. Another base hit. Duda is 2 for 2. So a 2-out single brings up the catcher Ronnie Paulino in a 3-2 game. The Mets got 3 in the first. The Marlins single runs in the first and the second. Robbie Alomar will go in as a Blue Jay, but he did play for the Mets 2002 for a full season.
And not a great year. It was really toward the end. And Mets fans thought they were getting more. And they didn't get the Hall of Fame Roberto Alomar.
No, in 2002, Alomar hit .266 with 11 homers. In 2003, he played 73 games with the Mets and then 67 with the White Sox. Pitch misses down low. He did not finish his career there. Arizona in 2004 and the White Sox as well. 17 seasons for Alomar. His lifetime batting average an even .300, on base percentage of .371. And you saw him play
I did.
a lot because you were a Blue Jays broadcaster.
I saw him play in his best years when he was second baseman for the World Championship Blue Jays a couple of years.
And as good a baseball instincts as you will ever see. Paulino got a breaking ball and he hits it deep. Peterson back towards the triangle makes the catch. And Volstad gets through the third. So a scoreless second, a scoreless third. Hello. Worth of a play, you could include him. Jason Bay was hurt a little bit, a rib cage issue to start the season. But if I had to throw my 2 cents in there, Tommy, it would probably be Jason Bay.
I think I'd be right with you on that one. Thing about Bonifacio leading off, he extended that hitting streak. 21 games now. He has scored 19 runs during the streak, which is just tremendous, and that's what his job is as a leadoff man.
I'll tell you, the one area where it's been impressive to watch is he's continued to draw walks during the streak. And for Bonifacio, a guy that would swing at everything when he got here 2.5 years ago, obviously when you're deep into a hitting streak, you're thinking about getting a hit. You're not thinking about taking pitches and getting on base. But he has made such a nice transformation, not only into a hitter, but also as a leadoff guy. His on-base percentage is close to 370 now. 1-2.
Which is something that was always a problem for him, and he's taken that next step.
During the month of July, Bonifacio at 391. We've, something we've talked about till we were blue in the face the last year and a half leading into this season, that, hey, he's a super utility guy because for long stretches as a starter, he can't get on base with any regularity.
And he has shown during this stretch that he out of that role to be an everyday player.
I think he's shown probably from late April on. 3-2. It's fouled back because we've talked about players before. Michael Bourne is a guy that we touched upon who, when we saw him with the Phillies and maybe his first year as an Astro, great speed, could steal bases, but couldn't get on base. And Bourne has made that adjustment. He's able to get on base now to where he's really a weapon. Here's the 3-2. And it's high. He's walked.
You and I had the conversation before the game talking about guys like that, and we came up with a name of a guy who never could make that next step.
Willie Taveras.
Willie Taveras. Hey, he'd steal bases when he got on base, but always had an on-base percentage 300 or less. And it goes back to the old saying, you can't steal first.
The funny thing about that conversation, as Infante lines it down the right field line, is I couldn't remember either his first or his last time. I said, Tommy, that speedy center fielder with the Rockies, what was his name? And you said,
and I came up with the last name,
but not the first name. You said like Joe Taveras. Then I said, no, it was Willie.
So we got it. See, combined, we're pretty good.
Yeah. On our own,
we're useless.
Worthless. Bonifacio drawing interest, obviously, from Pelfrey. Emilio not only got a base hit in the first to extend the hitting streak, but he swiped his 20th bag. And he's staking out his territory right now. See, this is a beautiful thing here. Watching Bonifacio get dirty and diving back to first. Because even when he would get on, Tommy, he wouldn't draw much interest from pitchers because they knew he wouldn't run.
Yeah, he wouldn't run, and he didn't get as... See, that was close, but the tag was missed. Good call by Chris Guccione at first base, the umpire. But he wouldn't get as big a lead as he does now.
Pelfrey again goes over.
Pelfrey's as quick as they get to first. He's a little slower to the plate, but has a really quick move to first.
So as a base stealer, you reduce your lead and just try to get a good jump. A good lead doesn't always equal a good jump.
And hope for an off-speed pitch and a poor throw from Paulino.
Paulino's thrown out 22% of base stealers this year.
Slide step there.
And that's the other thing that you find when teams have a guy like a Reyes, or right now with the way Bonifacio is playing, or even a Michael Bourne who gets on. See the career numbers against Pelfrey for Infante. Is the pitcher has to make an adjustment with how he actually pitches. Pelfrey's not that comfortable with a slide step, and yet with Bonifacio up there, he's having to employ it.
That is an intangible that I don't think the stat geeks have come up to figure that out, of the disruption a speedy base runner can put on a pitcher.
Can't you just use stats people instead of geeks? I mean,
It's a friendly term.
A term of endearment? Yeah. All right. As long as you're on the record as that, I'm okay with that, but I just wanted... Another throw over, and he's back in.
I mean, I think more endearing than nerd.
Well, yeah, but I was thinking more like guru or...
Well, there are
statistician.
stats gurus, but I think when we put them all under an umbrella, it's stats geeks.
You're terrible. 2-1 pitch is foul out of play. See, not only are you going to get emails from Port St. Lucie, but you're going to get emails from all the stats people in Port St. Lucie.
If there are stats geeks in Port St. Lucie, I'm in trouble Tuesday night.
Infante battling right now. They count 2-2. The Marlins have pushed Pelfrey up to 56 pitches. He's still well shy of Volstad, who's at 76. Breaking ball, ground ball through the hole. With Bonifacio on the move, he ends up at third. And he's coming home on the throw to second. He's got to score! How about that?
What a play by Bonifacio. And here's another intangible for you, Rich. Get the stat geeks figuring this one out. With the speed, look at Reyes. There goes Bonnie. He's moving. Reyes goes to cover. Infante hits the ball on the left side through the hole. The throw from Duda comes into left field. It's a lob throw. As soon as Bonifacio sees that, he takes off and scores. Looking over his shoulder. He's doing that on his own. Joe Espada's holding him. But as soon as he saw the lob throw come into second base, he's off to the races.
Man, is he fun to watch. And the great sequence there, Infante was laid on every fastball that Pelfrey was throwing. He was feeding balls into the right field foul territory. And so the Mets infield made that adjustment, Tommy, with Infante late. Instead of having the second baseman Turner cover, they figured they'd have Reyes cover.
And more importantly, Infante, after he saw them come to the plate with a throw, he moved to second base. Great base running all around.
Morrison takes a strike, and it counts 1-1. This game is tied 3-3. Wow.
So Bonifacio going to third on the base hit. It won't be an RBI. He comes home on the throw to second.
Which would be a fielder's choice. Morrison pulls a ground ball. That's 1-2. It seems, just from watching the at-bats of Logan Morrison this year, one of the things that the pitchers have really tried to do,
take care of your teammates,
is breaking balls in on the hands and down on that back foot. That's probably true about any left-handed hitter that has good opposite field power that, like Morrison, hits it to left center and to center.
And here's the tough part. He's working on thinking line drive to shortstop, but here's the situation. He has 2 strikes on him now. He has to just swing, but he's got a guy at second with nobody out.
Breaking ball. There's the ground ball to second, and Morrison moves the runner up. So not a bad at bat, a productive out, and we'll see if Hanley can cash him in. Full season ticket plans in the new Marlins ballpark available now. The Diamond Club is already sold out. Several other premium areas are close to capacity. Secure your seats today. Just call the new Marlins ballpark sales headquarters, 1-877-411-2012, or go to marlins.com/new ballpark. Dan Warthen, the pitching coach for the Mets. The pitch count is over 60 now at 63.
we've seen two trends. We've seen Pelfrey trending downward and Chris Volstad trending upward with the way he's rebounded after his first inning. And a little excitement, a few runs, that helps as well.
Well, the Marlins scored the run after the productive out by Infante when his fly ball moved Bonifacio from second to third. Morrison's ground ball knocked him in, and we'll see if Hanley can do the same. Now, the difference is with Hanley, the infield is in. Hanley bounced to short his first time up. Morrison had the infield back when he knocked in the run with the ground ball.
A little different situation later on in the game.
A game which, by the way, is on about a 4-hour pace right now.
Well, the Marlins have scored one run in each of the first 3 innings. There have been a lot of deep pitch counts. Chris Volstad has thrown 73 pitches. And Pelfrey is at 64.
1-1 coming. One and two. Hard to believe that this is just the 6th meeting between the two teams this year. So a lot of baseball to be played between the Mets and the Marlins. They'll play a total of 18 times this year. 1-2. Two and two.
The thing that Pelfrey hasn't been able to do a lot of, similar to Volstad in the first inning, he hasn't been able to get ahead. And a stat on Pelfrey when he's 0-2, when he gets ahead 0-2, and he did it once to Infante first time up, hitters are 1 for 28 against him.
Tried to elevate a fastball. It's interesting. You go up and in, and the first reaction is, all right, here comes a breaking ball.
Here comes
away.
Down and away, yeah.
But Paulino and Pelfrey trying to cross Hanley up. He missed with the pitch. So we'll see where he goes 3-2.
His best pitch is his two-seamer, his sinker.
Misses high. Gabby Sanchez, runners first and third. There is lightning dancing all around Sun Life Stadium right now.
Yeah, it was a pretty good bolt directly in center field just before that pitch.
You can see a little bit of it up there. The Marlins and Padres endured a 2.5-hour lightning and rain delay in the middle of the game yesterday. Now Gabby with the middle infield back for 2, and he hits a ground ball tailor-made. Reyes will step on the bag, flip to first in time, and the inning is over. But the daring do of Emilio Bonifacio provides the fish for their 3rd run. Emilio Bonifacio has extended his hitting streak. He has a stolen base, a walk, and he has scored 2 runs. And we're only in the 4th with the lightning dancing in the background. That's a great introduction to the AT&T trivia question. First Met to hit 40 home runs in a season.
I know we'll probably have a few Met insiders check in on this one.
How about Dave Kingman? Did he ever hit 40?
He did.
As a Met?
I don't know. That's a great guess. How about Mike Piazza?
Volstad with a breaking ball, misses outside. This is an important inning for Volstad after giving up 3 runs in the first. He walked a pair but got out of the second. Gave up a hit in the third. And so 2 scoreless innings now behind him. He's trying desperately to get a foothold of this game, get some momentum going. For a team that hasn't really had a good start for a while. The last start you could probably say was a good start. Swing and a miss. Pelfrey goes down. Anibal Sanchez gave up just 2 runs on Tuesday night in 6 innings in the 4-0 loss. Clay Hensley, you go back to his start in New York.
But because he was making his first start in a few years as a starter, you got 5 innings out of Clay, who's pitching tomorrow night, by the way, against Capuano. It got me to thinking for the first time, Rich, I know we've kind of cruised for a while. It got me thinking about Josh Johnson, not in the rotation.
Liner into right field, and Reyes is aboard for the first time. And that's a warning, danger sign in terms of stolen bases. The Padres were 10 of 10 in stolen bases in the 3-game series against the Marlins. Volstad actually has been improved this year. Last year, he gave up 29 stolen bases in 33 attempts. This year, just 6 in 9 attempts. But Reyes can rock and roll with the best of them. He swiped 30 bags this year. Second to Michael Bourne. And when you thought about Josh Johnson not being in the rotation.
Well, you know, it's not thinking that it's a cure-all and that he would be throwing 7-8 innings out there all the time, but I thought about him because of the importance of having that big ace, that big horse in your rotation to try to prevent having long spells of short starts and some losses. And that's what an ace can do. That's what a Roy Halladay does for the Phillies. And that's why the Phillies put together win after win, maybe lose a game or 2, because they come at you with a Halladay, a Hamels, or a Cliff Lee. They have 3 guys that can do that.
Hey, put Vance Worley on that list.
Vance Worley now, yeah.
All right, don't leave him off. I know Oswalt is hurt and Joe Blanton is out, but Vance Worley has been dynamite. Here's the 0-1. Slow tapper. Bonifacio cuts it off, bobbles it. Everybody's safe. He was rushing, I'm sure, because of Reyes' speed. Had he been able to just squeeze it and flip it, he might have had Reyes.
Every once in a while, he gets going so fast that it's hard to really channel things down. He's going to flip to second and get the out, and he just never got control of the baseball. He knew he had to be quick with Reyes the runner. Great job by John Buck. Because Bonifacio left his third base position, Buck raced all the way from behind the plate to third base. Make sure somebody was there.
Carlos Beltran now. Pulls a ground ball. Bad hop over Gabby's head into right field. Reyes is going to score. Well, how about that for rotten luck?
Well, you like to have those bad hops on your side. This is going to be an out. It's not going to be a double play, but it turns out to be an RBI single by Carlos Beltran. Here's the chopper. Okay, here's the hop. You're going to play it. It takes a nasty hop over the head of Gabby Sanchez. Boy, when you're a hitter and you hit a ball like that and it's right in front of you, that's like Christmas.
And of course, if Bonifacio makes the play and gets Reyes at second, that bad hop single just puts runners at the corners without scoring a run. As it is, Volstad now has them at the corners, and Wright is up with one out.
By the way, you were talking about Vance Worley. His name has popped up. These clubs that are interested in making a deal with the Phillies, and if they need pitching, that's one of the guys they've been asking for.
I think the Phillies would have been more likely to give up Vance Worley 2 months ago than now.
Yeah, oh yeah. I think they'd like to throw Joe Blanton in a deal right now. He's hurt though.
They might give you Kyle Kendrick, but Vance Worley has been dynamite.
You have to squeeze a little bit to get Worley.
0-2. Right to right field. Tag is Turner. Stanton makes the catch, and the throw comes home, and it's a bullet. Stanton actually hesitated almost to look up and say, are you going to run or what? And then gunned it home.
Yeah, he's shallow. He takes his time and then just fires a strike all the way in the air to John Buck. And look at how JB kind of cruises over just to make sure he has the plate blocked too.
Right field assists: Hunter Pence, Andre Ethier, Mike Stanton. Here's Daniel Murphy now with 2 outs and runners at the corners. By the way, they have given Bonifacio an error on Justin Turner's little tapper. Murphy pulled one through the whole right side for an RBI hit in the first, and he popped out in the third. That one is fouled at the plate. Chris Volstad already at 87 pitches with 2 outs here in the fourth. And that's after giving up 3 runs in the first. You talk about Josh Johnson not throwing yet and not on track to get back into the rotation. The Texas Rangers got some awful news about Brandon Webb. He's going to undergo rotator cuff surgery.
They've been trying to get him back all year. I think their rotation is just fine without him, with the way the Rangers have been pitching.
And that's what you really hope.
You know, the worst case scenario with JJ, and this is why to me it's all been a mystery. Worst case scenario is now comes wintertime and then somebody tells me he needs surgery.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. Liner into left center field. Peterson racing for it, and he's there and makes the catch. Good closing speed by Brian Peterson, who runs down a potential 2-run double on the warning track in left center field. But the Mets get a run. By Metro PCS Android phones, now available at Metro PCS. Plus, get an unlimited nationwide service for just $50 a month. Metro PCS Wireless for all. And by the all-new Chevy Cruze. See your local Chevy dealer. Mike Stanton leads it off against Mike Pelfrey. Stanton homered back in the second. Pelfrey's breaking ball misses outside.
That was an 11 pitch at bat, too.
Of course, Stanton missed first base. Figured, you know what, might want to go back and touch it.
Always a good thing.
The 2-1. Pelfrey thought he had a strike, and you could hear him muttering that was a strike. That's not a strike either. And Stanton walks. So a leadoff walk here in the fourth. Neither pitcher seems to want the lead in this ballgame. AT&T trivia question. I'm going Dave Kingman on this.
I think I'll go Piazza.
Todd Hundley.
Todd Hundley. That was his one big year. Had a lot of injuries. 41 bombs from Todd Hundley.
Peterson bunts it foul.
I think bunting for a base hit. I would hope so anyway, because a situation like this, you got the number 8 hitter and the pitcher behind you. You'd kind of prefer to see Peterson swing the bat.
Might he have done that on his own?
Probably. Different story if there was somebody warming up in the bullpen.
Sharp ground ball. That might be 2. Reyes' turn is quick. And the Marlins have bounced into 2 double plays now. One killed the third. This one has given Pelfrey 2 outs in the fourth.
Yeah, the tough one was the one in the third, first and third with 1 out. Gabby Sanchez hit into the double play. Ball hit sharply. You think about it, you have the speed of Brian Peterson. You have to hit it sharply to hit into a double play. If not hit hard, they're not going to get 2.
To third, David Wright throws out John Buck, and Pelfrey has a very quick inning thanks to that double play grounder. It's a cornucopia for, as Tommy put it, how did you call them? Stats?
No, I think if you're involved in Game Connect, it's not geekish. It takes a lot to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you can get all kinds of information.
Well, we've got it dialed in up here. So the Subway fifth inning, if you want to entertain yourself with some gizmos and gadgets and electronic stuff flying around, give it a shot. Angel Pagan goes after a pitch, trying to drop it down.
A cornucopia of things, huh?
Yes, sir. Angel Pagan is a sacrifice fly and has struck out. Pagan's numbers have dipped from last year, where he hit 290, was on base at a 340 clip, stole 37 bases. Hitting 237 this year. Does have 18 stolen bases. And he plays a very good center field.
And that's why they banked on Pagan, because they knew that Carlos Beltran wasn't going to be in center field. He's not doesn't have the range and the speed that he once had to play that position.
Up the middle, Infante skidding stop, nice play. Omar Infante gets Pagan. First out of the fifth. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. Billy's Bunch, presented by Players Edge Academy. This month's episode features Jeff Conine in an ice cream eating contest. Coach Cousins will talk about catching. It's Billy's Bunch tomorrow. The ice cream eating contest is worth watching. I mean, just to see Conine crush.
A couple of the expressions too that Niner had.
I think he opted for cookies and cream in
the Bluebell ice cream.
And apparently on Sunday, Kid Sunday, the Bluebell folks, in celebration of National Ice Cream Month, will be bringing ice cream to the truck, which is not where you want to bring ice cream. I mean, it'll be gone before the Bluebell folks can even walk in the gates. But
it's better to the truck because the truck is air conditioned. The ice cream up here in the booth wouldn't last long either.
Lucas Duda, 0-2. Volstad misses outside.
Tried to get him with the changeup. How's the Game Connect? Look, Rich, what's going on?
Well, I'm looking at Lucas Duda and his career average, and Chris Volstad and his gas tank. The gas tank is a measurement that they have on Game Connect, which measures the average pitch count for a pitcher and where he might be at this point. Volstad's average pitches per game this year is 90. Infante picks it up, and that's pitch number 99. So Chris's gas tank is on empty. The warning light came on 7 pitches ago, and he had only 6 pitches before he hit empty. The upcoming Marlins schedule brought to you by Just for Men Hair Color. There's a look. Hey, Saturday night. Tomorrow night's a Super Saturday. It's a rematch of Chris Capuano and Clay Hensley as we look forward to the upcoming schedule. You can live forward with Just for Men Hair Color.
Well, basically, Chris Volstad doing what I've done on the Turnpike every once in a while. He's running on fumes.
Ronnie Paulino. Paulino takes outside. Paulino has bounced out and flied out. Volstad did not look like he would last until this 5th inning. In the first, the Mets pushed 3 runs across. Hanley a dive, didn't get it cleanly. Infante follows and almost got him. It's a heads-up play by Infante. He knew that Paulino was running. Ronnie Paulino gets a rare infield single.
Good instincts by Omar Infante. This ball hit pretty well by Ronnie Paulino. If Hanley can hang on, he's able to make the play. The ball trickles away from his glove, and instinctively Infante knows that Paulino can't run that well. if that's Reyes the runner, he doesn't attempt that play. And Hanley feeling he should have had it.
So Mike Pelfrey stands in. And he takes a strike. It's 0-1. Pelfrey has walked and struck out. That one is fouled at the plate. We have seen lightning dance all over the South Florida skies here, and we're starting to hear thunder as well. Here's the 0-2. Breaking ball struck him out. So Volstad has 5 innings in the books, 106 pitches into this one. Sun Life Stadium, Subway 5th inning. Chris Volstad in the bottom of the 5th. His team down a run. And Wes Helms at the plate. And so Volstad's night is over. Helms pinch hitting. Then you get the top of the order, Emilio Bonifacio and Omar Infante. Helms had a base hit yesterday. Pelfrey misses away. Steve Cishek in the Marlins pen. Pelfrey's approaching 80 pitches.
Remember the left-hander? Bounced around with a few teams, Minnesota. Used to call him Everyday Eddie.
Eddie Guardado.
Starting to think Everyday Cishek.
Count 1-2. That one misses outside. Pelfrey, a couple of occasions, has looked sideways at Mike Everett. Paulino wants a fastball, the 2-2. Stays at 2-2. 3 runs in the first for the Mets. Single runs in the first, second, and third for the Marlins. The Mets got a run in the top of the 4th.
Staying up with hard stuff to Wes Helms.
up and away there. 3-2. Emilio Bonifacio on deck. He's had a busy night. He's scored twice. Helms rolls one up the middle. Reyes gathers it in and throws him out. Jose Reyes is a lot of fun to watch. I don't know if Alex Rodriguez made those comments tongue-in-cheek, but watching him play at full strength with the energy, he's finally healthy off the disabled list. He's a ball of energy, and defensively, you forget about how good a shortstop he can be and how strong an arm he has.
Well, he has one of the strongest arms. He got a Furcal-like arm. And you're right about the energy that he brings. He does so many things that can help you win a game. Leading the league in hits, so he's on base, stealing bases, triples, getting in scoring position, and every once in a while he'll pop a home run.
Bonifacio fouls it off. Do you think, with the year that he's having, that the Mets will have to spend Carl Crawford money to keep him?
I'll tell you what, it's going to be close. It really is going to be close.
Because that, I mean, if he signs somewhere else, that might be the type of contract he gets.
What was Crawford, 7 years?
That one is fouled off.
So 7 years, about 140, 142.
Well, Reyes is 28. So 7 years puts him to under contract through 35.
The irony, the only thing that would, hold a team back would be his leg problems, the hamstring. And the irony to that is Carl Crawford's on the DL right now with a hamstring pull.
1-2 misses inside. Bonifacio runs the count to 2-2.
Crawford's back off the DL, but spent a couple of weeks.
He went after a sinker away. So Belfry gets Bonifacio for the first time tonight. Infante comes up. Belfry's really settled in these last couple of innings. You can present your Miccosukee Ultimate Reward Players Club card at the stadium box office starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game and receive a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming, get in the game.
It's amazing the way Infante over his career has hit Pelfrey. 12 for 22 now.
1 for 2 tonight. 0-2 with 2 outs.
It's the third 0-2 count that he's had. And remember that stat we gave you. Hitter's 1 for 29 when he gets an 0-2 count.
One, two coming. Good to see Nolan Ryan back to work. Feeling better after a stay in the hospital. He's made quite a difference in that organization.
He sure has. On down to the minor leagues, their theory on starting pitchers, trying to get them to go deeper in games, and his staff, the major league level, has done that.
Infante down the left field line, and it's deep, but it's hooking, and it's foul. And because the Rangers were a financial mess, and now a very viable franchise. They went to the World Series. Brian is their CEO. Logan Morrison's on deck. Counts full at 3-2. Ground ball in the hole. Reyes is not going to get Infante. That's 13 career hits against Pelfrey now for Infante. So 2 for 3 tonight, 13 for 23.
Notice how Reyes just puts it away. He knows once he gets this ball, the only player has a shot at that ball is the third baseman. Once it got past right, no play at all for Reyes.
All right, here's Morrison now, and this might feel like an at-bat that he finally has for himself, because his other 2 at-bats, he had a purpose at the plate. His first at-bat, a runner at third, 1 out, infield back. Just put it in play, you score a run. He hits a ground ball, and he scores the run. His next at-bat, runner at second, nobody out. You're trying to hit a ball on the ground to the right side and move him to third, and he did that. So now here he is with 2 outs and a runner at first. Out towards short, Reyes. Across the diamond in time. Oh, Mike Pelfrey now with 5 in the books, and he hangs on to the lead, 4-3.
Did you need to make after that start?
You know, after that first inning, just focusing on getting the ball down. I think my arm slot, you know, maybe was a little off in the first inning, just something I picked up and me and Saint talked about. So made that adjustment and started getting the ground balls, and, you know, just too many pitches in that first inning cost me.
Your pinch hit for to start the 5th, 106 pitches, 5 innings. How are you feeling?
I feel fine. You know, but right there we need to try and get something going through 5 innings, and, you know, our bullpen's going to do a great job. So, you know, hopefully we can get one.
Chris, thanks for the time. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Allison, and thanks to Chris Volstad for stopping by for a rare in-game interview. We appreciate that. Cishek's first pitch is popped up. Hanley racing. So is Morrison, and it is going to drop between them. And that's going to be a double for Reyes.
Tell you what, Hanley Ramirez went hard. Evidently, the defensive alignment with Reyes up there is to play him in the gap. So Lomo is well over in left center. He's got a long way to go, but he starts looking at Hanley. He didn't take charge. A couple of times we've seen that. We saw that in Chicago. We saw Mike Stanton, a young outfielder, look at the infielder. You're the one in charge as the outfielder. You have to take charge.
Yeah, it's Logan Morrison's ball.
Yeah.
So Cishek is greeted by Jose Reyes' 23rd double. See Cishek's numbers. not Justin Turner. And you got Carlos Beltran and David Wright.
And make sure you check Reyes a couple of times at second base. Don't let him get that walking lead.
One-0 pitch misses inside. The Padres are in Philadelphia tonight, opening up a weekend series, and the Phillies have a 3-1 lead in the 7th. Padres have just 3 hits in that ball game.
They're tired from all the swings and hits down here.
Plus, they're facing a San Diego native, Cole Hamels. Cardinals are in Pittsburgh. This should be a nice measuring stick for the Pirates.
I think I was reading the Pirates have a big test coming up the next couple of weeks. Play a lot of tough teams.
They're down 5-2 in the 6th in Pittsburgh. His 22nd. David Freese, who's been injured much of the year, has hit his 4th for the Cardinals. There's Beltran on deck, 3-1 to Justin Turner after a leadoff bloop double from Jose Reyes.
Yeah, Rich, the Pirates starting a stretch in St. Louis. Then they go on the road and take on Atlanta for 4, Philadelphia for 3.
There's a ground ball. Gabby's going to scoop it, and a nice at bat by Justin Turner. He moves the runner to third. Mets trying to manufacture a run now, and Beltran gets a chance to drive it in. The Braves are actually in Cincinnati, and that ball game is a wild one. It's only 4-4 in the top of the 7th, but of the 8 runs that have been scored, there have been 6 home runs hit in the game.
Ball jumping at Great American Ballpark.
Martin Prado just homered. Brian McCann is homered. Jason Hayward is homered for Atlanta. Zach Kozer, Fred Lewis, Drew Stubbs for Cincinnati. Foul back, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Rain starting to fall here in Miami.
Second game in a row, too, that Dan Uggla has not been in the lineup. Braves has a leg injury, calf injury. Had to come out of a game the other night in Denver.
Just when he was starting to get hot.
Yeah.
1-1. Cishek misses high. And it's 2-1. You've seen the lightning. You've heard the thunder. Now there's the rain. Beltran with a mean rip. Fouls it back, and it's 2-2. And when those guys get to the wall, that means
it's close.
The heavy stuff is closing in. It's like a pit crew in NASCAR. Got him. That's a nasty breaky ball. Cishek started it over the plate, and then it dove and almost hit Beltran's back leg.
That's a great pitch. After some hard sinkers, now he gives that motion that he has, elbows and knees, and throws a good slider in a good spot. And you see how badly Beltran is fooled and how much he missed that ball by. Great pitch.
Now he's got to get David Wright. Reyes is still at third. One and all.
Talked about the resume of David Wright. One of the things that he's taken a lot of pride in over the last 6 years, he's averaged 156 games. Now, of course, that's not going to happen this year with his injury. But for the most part, he's been out there all the time. First round pick back in 01.
A bounce back year last year. He had 29 homers, drove in 103. And that came off 2009, the first year at Citi Field. 10 homers and 72 RBIs.
That's an odd year. As you said, his first year in the new ballpark. He did have 39 doubles that year, though.
Cishek, fastball came in. And it was in. You can see pitch number 4. But you also saw in that sequence that pitch number 1 was at the knees and on the corner.
Boy, late on that 93-mile-an-hour sinking fastball.
So now it's 3-2. Reyes still at third. Cishek. Threw it by him.
You laid on one, you go with it again, and he upped it up a mile an hour and blew it by David Wright.
Steve Cishek pitches out of trouble in the 6th. And the Mets are leading 4-3 into the bottom of the 6th. Chris Volstad is long gone, but Mike Pelfrey remains, and he gets Hanley Ramirez, Gabby Sanchez, and Mike Stanton.
It's interesting, the Mets with their 9 hits clearly out hitting the Marlins, but the Marlins trailing by just 1 run. They have been really efficient in gotten their runs the right way. They've done some little things correctly to get the run, the RBI by Lomo, quick home run by Mike Stanton, the base running of Bonifacio.
Hanley has bounced out and walked. Pelfrey misses away. The Mets bullpen is very busy. Got a couple guys up right now, as Pelfrey is over 100 pitches.
Yeah, I think this is that situation where it's a short leash for Pelfrey now.
Pelfrey going to retie the shoe. He's behind 2-1.
That's a long stretch when you're 6'7". Lean over and tie your shoes. Beato and Burdak.
Gets a strike on the breaking ball. The count evens to 2-2.
Hanley cooled off a little bit, was just 1 for 11 in that San Diego series.
And he swings and misses at a breaking ball and strikes out. Scoreless inning in the 4th, the 5th, and now Pelfrey has an out here in the 6th. Here comes Gabby Sanchez. Maybe the biggest pitch that Pelfrey has made in this game was the pitch to Sanchez with runners at the corners. Gabby hits it to left field. It's pretty deep. It is gone!
Gabby wasn't going to let you get that out of your mouth. He was going to make amends real fast. And just like that, tied it up.
This game is tied again. Pelfrey got him to bounce into a double play in the 3rd. That ended that inning. But he jumps on a hanging breaking ball. Gabby hits his 14th of the season.
It's been a while, too, for Gabby, so that's good to see. He had a good series against the Padres. Gets a little bit of a hanger there. Gabby's last long ball was against the Angels back on June 21st. So a no-doubter and a good swing by Gabby.
Now Stanton, who homered to right and was walked to the 4th. 17th and 18th homers allowed by Pelfrey, the ones to Stanton and to Gabby Sanchez.
And for a guy who's a sinker ball pitcher, that's a lot.
Well, we told you about the similarities between Pelfrey and Volstad. Drafted in the same draft. 7 picks away. Pelfrey 9. Volstad 16th overall. There's a chopper towards 3rd. Right across the diamond. Volstad's given up his share of home runs this year as well. He's given up 16.
So you have 2 sinker ball pitchers, each giving up a lot of home runs.
National League East standings brought to you by Chevrolet. Phillies sitting on top with the Braves. Mets, Nationals, Marlins. And the Marlins, who had crept within 2 games of 500 after being 11 under, have fallen back 5 under, thanks to the Padres. Brian Peterson has hit the ball hard twice. Daniel Murphy snared a 1-hopper at first base in the 2nd, and then he cracked one up the middle. It turned into a 4-6-3 double play in the 4th. Ball and a strike. Peterson still waiting for his first long ball. Mujica. That one clipped Mike Everett.
Brian Peterson had a year in low A in Greensboro. He hit 19 home runs, but the home run totals have kind of tailed off once he's gotten himself in Double A and Triple A, and now up here.
This is his 70th plate appearance in the big leagues. Hits it hard again.
Oh my!
And Turner robs him.
That's a shame.
So he's hit it hard 3 times, and he's 0 for 3. But the Marlins, with a long ball, retie this game. Gabby Sanchez, his 14th. In rainy Miami, we check in with Allison Williams. A-Dub?
Hey, Rich, the Mets certainly happy to get Jose Reyes back in the lineup off the DL on Tuesday. Not only is he the NL batting leader, and he's the tops of several offensive categories, but he's also has the highest mark for WAR. His wins above replacement at 7, well ahead of Dustin Pedroia in second at 5.4. It's an interesting stat. Tries to really quantify how valuable a player is, how many wins he's worth to a team instead of what is they call like a replacement player, an average player at that position. And Reyes is tops of all positions in Major League Baseball at 7, an interesting number, especially with the trade deadline looming and rumors surrounding him at shortstop. Guys,
now you can see those numbers.
Yeah, he's the leader in the National League. I'm still trying and have accepted now OPS, so I'm still learning some of the new that WAR, wins above replacement. I'm still working on those.
Well, it measures if you were to take Reyes out and put in Joe Blow, AAA rookie player, how many more wins would the Mets have with Reyes out at short instead of Joe Blow? Steve Cishek walks Daniel Murphy. I guess the trick there is determining which statistics add up to a win.
Now, are those geeks or nerds figuring that stuff out?
See, you just can't leave that alone. Boy, I mean. How about wonks? Pitch misses outside to Angel Pagan. You got Murphy at first, Cishek on the mound. You saw Mujica up and throwing, but the bullpen quiet. They had covered the bullpen mound, and now down in the Marlins pen, they're uncovering it, and someone looks like they're going to get up and start throwing again. Pagan fouls it at the plate.
I am, Rich, at a point in my life and career where I can kind of say this, but I did see a great poster, a sign one time that said, "Be careful what you say about geeks, because you may be working for one someday."
One pitch. Buck lets Cishek have it, and he throws it down the right field line. It kicks off the wall. Stanton picks it up. Holding at third is Murphy. Cishek threw a ball away against San Diego, and he throws one away here.
With the way Pagan got up the line, it seemed like everything was in slow motion for Cishek. I think Pagan would have beaten it anyway. But he throws it away, and that allows both runners to move up another 90 feet.
Now, there is nobody out, and the Marlins are going to intentionally walk Lucas Duda and probably bring Mujica in to pitch to Paulino. And so for young Steve Cishek, he's learning that not only do you have to throw strikes in the big leagues, but you got to field your position.
You got to be quick, and that just kind of unfolded slowly, and that's why Pagan beat it out, gets the infield hit, and then the error charged to Cishek.
So the bags are low. Let's see if Jack comes out and makes the switch, or if he's going to stick with Cishek. It's almost like Jack is looking down the runway waiting for somebody.
Well, he may want to make a double switch. Remember, Peterson made the last out.
Brandon Hyde is having to go back into the clubhouse, and the Marlins are obviously stalling on the mound.
You would think a Dobbs or a Mike Cameron would be who he's going to make the double switch with.
Well, if it's one of those guys, they may have been in the batting cage swinging the bat. And so this is the time of game where guys like Dobbs and Cameron are back in the cage hitting off a tee or taking batting practice. And so Jack's hand is forced here. Any double switch usually involves Bonifacio having to change clubs.
Yeah, he has a box of gloves down there. They just have to decide which one to toss him.
Yeah, Bonifacio asking Jack, where am I going? And so now he goes in to get the glove that he needs. So we'll sort it out. Dobbs is coming in the ballgame. He's at third. Cishek comes out. It's 4-4, but the Mets have him loaded. Here's a Marooney call to the pen.
When you need a car.
And we were finally able to spot Bonifacio, and as expected, Peterson comes out. Brian Peterson's out, so Mujica hits in his spot,
and Paulino
Dobbs hits ninth.
Pitch foul and out of play, and Mujica inherits a bases loaded, nobody out situation. He's had an outstanding year. Wins leader among relievers, 8-2, with an ERA of under 3.
Just 5 walks all year.
Paulino to right center field. Bonifacio calls for it. This is going to score a run and move a runner to third. As Pagan gets to third, Murphy crosses. Lucas Duda is still at first. And the Mets have done some little things right at the plate in this ball game as well. And so back and forth we go again. The Mets are back up by a run.
And they got a pinch hitter ready to go, Willie Harris.
Harris stands in. You see 6 for 17 against the Fish. You don't have great speed at first with Duda,
but you have a tough guy to double up in Harris.
Mujica gets a strike. Willie Harris has been around. Beato is still up. Harris now 32. Last 3 years with the Washington Nationals. This is his third team in the National League East. He also played for Atlanta. has played for Boston, Baltimore, and was on the World Series champion 2005 Chicago White Sox. Oh, 0-2 to Harris. Well, the rain continues to fall, though not heavy enough to stop the game. Steve Cishek has great stuff. There's no denying that. But twice in the last 4 days, he has thrown a ball away in a key spot. Got him. Big strikeout for Mujica.
Good job by Mujica. We showed you the strikeouts to walks ratio. You know he's going to come in and throw strikes, and he threw quality pitches to Willie Harris to strike him out. For Mujica on the year now, 36 strikeouts with just the 5 walks.
Now he's got Reyes. Two for 4 is Reyes. Doubled his last time up. It was a pop-up that fell. This pop-up heads towards foul ground, and Dobbs makes the catch. Or go to Marlins.com. Rain continues to fall, and Pedro Beato is in the ball game for the New York Mets. Takes over from Mike Pelfrey. 6 innings for Pelfrey, who, if the Mets bullpen can bring this home, Pelfrey will pick up win number 6.
We've seen Beato a little bit this year. Good fastball and slider. Some splits, some change-ups, but he likes to stay with fastball and slider.
John Buck takes outside. It's Buck, then Dobbs, then Bonifacio. The Mets bullpen has been outstanding this month. An ERA of just 1.83, second best in the majors behind the White Sox, and Buck rifles one over the head of right. Picked up by Duda. Pedro Beato greeted with a John Buck single. Here comes Greg Dobbs.
Other than the home runs, the 2 times the Marlins have scored their other runs, they got the leadoff man on base. And that man came in to score. So good start. And there's Brett Hayes pinch running for Buck.
So here is Dobbs. His first at bat. Obviously, you get a little more speed over there at first with Hayes. And Dobbs lines one in left center field. Duda after it, and he's there, and he makes the catch. Dobbs hit it well. Hayes has to return. And up comes Bonifacio.
Good approach, good swing. You know he has a game plan, and he got the pitch that he was looking for, and he hit it well.
You know, the field has held up from the rain, but it's getting to the point where it's close to needing some attention around the plate, around the mound, and maybe on the infield, a little diamond drive, because it's starting to get a little sticky. Bonifacio takes down low. If you've just joined us, back and forth the Marlins and Mets have gone. The Marlins have not led in this game. The Mets had a 3-0 lead. The Marlins tied it at 3. The Mets took a 4-3 lead. Marlins tied it at 4. Now the Mets have a 5-4 lead, and that one goes to the screen. Hayes down to second.
And the other thing, Rich, if you just joined us, Emilio Bonifacio extended his hitting streak with a single in the first inning, so 21 straight now for Bonnie.
That's a breaking ball.
Somehow he skips out of the way, and the ball got away from Paulino as well. Wild pitch, clearly.
This is a field that took an awful lot of moisture yesterday. It drains considerably well.
Boy, a lot better than that field in Oakland.
Well, remember the soggy game the Marlins played in New York their first time in, because the grounds crew didn't put the tarp on the field the night before, and it rained. And when they showed up for work in the morning, it was wet, and then they put the tarp on the field.
This is pristine compared to the way that field was that night.
The Marlins and Mets almost didn't play that game that night. And of course, the next night, the Marlins and the Mets were rained out in the infamous game that was rained out on a night where it didn't rain. 3-0 pitch. It's a strike. 3-1. Infante and then Morrison. Bonifacio trying to get on. Beato battling the rain with a 3-1 pitch coming. He misses. Bonifacio's second walk. And here comes Infante.
Well, again, Bonifacio has been on base 3 times tonight. The previous 2 times he scored. Dan Worthen wants to try to settle down Pedro Beato.
And the Mets, as we noted, haven't played a whole lot this year. Marlins have actually played well against the Mets in this ballpark lately, having won 9 of the last 12 games here. This is just the 6th ball game between the 2 this year.
A lot of games left this year. 2 more trips into New York. We hit New York, the 3rd city of this next trip. Washington, Atlanta, New York.
I'm watching the lead that Brett Hayes has at second base, and it's minuscule. Remember in Chicago, in a similar situation, he came into pinch run and was picked off, but was called safe. And that turned out to be an enormous call for the Marlins.
The rule of thumb as a runner at second, you can in this case, you don't really have to worry about Reyes, the shortstop. You can get off almost as far as the second baseman. You have to keep your eye on him. The third base coach will help you with the shortstop.
Infante sitting on a 2-0 pitch. Beato struggling with his control. He drops in a strike. Two-one. Infante is not one to take a walk. He is a contact guy.
Got to figure Burdack, the lefty, might be getting ready for Logan Morrison.
He laid off that breaking ball. Infante has walked just 24 times. 375 at bats. Foul tip. And it pops out of the glove of Paulino. A break for the Fish.
Yeah, he went with the slow breaking ball that time.
The Phillies have finished off a win over the Padres 3-1. Cole Hamels the win. He's now 12-5. Ryan Madsen's back, and he picks up his 16th save. 3-2 again with one out. Almost hit him. And so the bags are loaded now. And let's see if the lefty is going to come in to face Morrison. Terry Collins was already on his way out as Infante was picking himself up the dirt. Tim Burdack is coming in. Marlins down a run. Mets trying to hang on with their bullpen. The bags are loaded. There's one out in the bottom of the seventh. Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car.
Well, you know that Logan Morrison's going to see a diet of sliders. He throws a fastball, but to lefties, he likes to use that. But again, Logan Morrison finds himself up in a key situation. He was able to pick up an RBI in the first inning on a ground ball out. But with one out here, the infield's a double play depth.
So Lomo climbs in. Remember, he didn't have a lot of hits this month, but he has a slew of RBIs. And Burdak throws a straight one up there for a strike, and it's 0-1. There's the slider into center field. On comes Pagan. He makes the catch. Tagging is Hayes. Coming to the plate, and he gets there. Just slides by Paulino. Paulino was waiting and tried to stick that left leg out at the last minute to hook Hayes. Brett got by him, and it looked like Hayes actually slipped away from third.
A little bit of a stumble right there, but a good slide to come around, just touch the plate with his hand. He comes around Paulino. There's the hand on the plate, and went into pinch run for John Buck, and it pays off. Good play by the center fielder Pagan. Got a nice jump. Good approach by Lomo to get a pitch. He was looking slider, got the sac fly.
Yeah, Buck doesn't score. In fact, Buck doesn't even try to score on that ball. Tied again.
When you need a car, truck or van.
Ground ball out. He has the most RBIs in the National League this month. 21 RBIs. Tommy, he has just 17 hits this month.
Yeah, and he's had 71 ABs, so hitting about 240, but driving in all the runs. So what's more important? Driving in the runs, and that's what he's done. Hanley'd like to do the same here. Got a guy that throws hard. Bobby Parnell can get it up mid-90s, mid to upper 90s.
Got Bonifacio at second. Infante at first. Parnell had Bonifacio leaning, but there was not a Met infielder at second base. Parnell's numbers.
He had 34 strikeouts in 27 2/3, so that gives you an idea of the fastball he has.
Hanley trying to drive it to right. An 0 for 2 tonight. As Tommy pointed out, did not have a great series against the Padres. Wow. 101.
Well, we said upper 90s. He's in triple digits.
That's something. Anytime you get flames shooting out of the Fox box,
that means something.
Yes, it does.
That's not Bill Wadlick eating Mexican food.
Here's the 0-2. That's outside.
He brought it down to 97. He tried to spot that one.
He didn't miss by much.
You wonder if Paulino going out there, you wonder if he'll want to show a slider and miss with it, or if they will just stay with that fastball.
Well, remember the two balls that Hanley is offered at, he's hit foul down the first baseline. So he hasn't shown any sign of getting around on it, but Hanley, of course, has great power to right field. So he doesn't have to speed up much to give it a ride. Let's see what he has, the 1-2. Would you think about starting Bonifacio and Infante here?
It's tough with how hard Parnell throws. I mean, Paulino's going to get it quick. And you certainly don't want to run yourself out of an inning with Hanley up there. And Bonifacio is going to score on a base hit.
Mets are not holding Infante at first. He has an enormous lead. In the dirt, he showed him breaking ball.
So that's what they talked about. Okay, show him breaking ball. I guarantee he doesn't throw at this pitch. He's going to go back to the gas.
Back and forth. Mets will take a lead. Marlins will catch it. That was a 3-3. Mets were up 4-3. Marlins tied him 4-4. Mets were up 5-4. Marlins have tied him here 5-5. Fastball, ground ball, out to second, and flipped to Reyes in time. Inning over. Logan Morrison sacrifice fly, scores Brett Hayes, and this game is tied one more time. Marlins have tonight, and he does not have a hit. And as expected, the grounds crew has come out and are tending to the mound and the plate. Alan Stigwart, one of the hardest working men in all of sports. He has to make this field viable for Major League Baseball, for ACC football with the Hurricanes, and of course the NFL season.
And you know what I said last night? You remember when I said this, and or yesterday they were putting the tarp on, and how the wind kicked it up a little bit, and it took an extra effort for the ground crew. And I said, well, that's the shot they're going to show on national television, on highlight shows, and say something about the South Florida ground crew. And wouldn't you know, that's what I saw last night.
Really?
So my buttons got pushed last night.
Who said that about that?
It was on the MLB network. And the only shot they showed of the rain delay was the tarp blowing up in the air.
And did they get on the ground crew?
They made a comment, you know, not a positive comment, to the best ground crew in baseball.
Shame on them.
Yes.
I know Sean Casey didn't say it. He's the nicest guy in baseball.
He's probably one of those anchor guys.
Oh, easy now, Hud. Easy. Nationals, Braves, Mets. Let's hit the road. Washington first. Atlanta second. And then New York City.
Hey, we'll get to stay longer than one night, too. But we'll stay in the East.
We've got all the games here on Fox Sports Florida.
Be nice, warm weather. All three cities.
Hot, hot, hot. Although not as hot as it is in New York. Today, 106. Is that what I saw on your iPad there?
Yeah, going to be in the upper 90s next couple of days.
Tommy, the AccuWeather weatherman up here. Mojica burying that sinker to Justin Turner. Carlos Beltran, David Wright also coming up in the 8th. It was Mojica who came in and bailed Steve Cishek out of trouble in the 7th. Hayes slides out to knock that down with 2 strikes. It's 1-2.
Currently about 94 in New York.
Fastball misses in. 2-2. Justin Turner pulls it foul. Justin Turner out of Cal State Fullerton. Played on that Cal State Fullerton World Series championship team in 2004. Was all tournament as a freshman. Fouls that one off.
He's had a pretty solid year this year with the Mets.
Yes, he has. He had a chance to play in the big leagues more so than any of his other seasons. In 09 with Baltimore, he got in just 12 games, 5 games with the Orioles in 2010, 4 games with the Mets last year as well. In the minor leagues, he's a career .309 hitter with some pop. 38 home runs, 121 doubles in 500 games. And he's putting up a good fight here against Edward Mojica. Well, the Cardinals have taken a lead into the 9th in Pittsburgh, 6-4, top of the 9th at PNC Park. Justin Turner wins the battle against Edward Mojica.
And a rare walk by Mojica.
Number 15,
yeah, just the 6th he's allowed all season long. So Mojica now faces Beltran. 1 for 3, an RBI single. Remember, I told you that the Braves and the Reds had scored a total of 8 runs on 6 homers. That was a 4-4 game late. And it looks like Dan Uggla has homered. And the Braves have won it 6-4.
No, we mentioned that Uggla was not in the starting lineup. He has a leg injury. So a pinch hit 2-run homer by Dan Uggla.
Mojica now has gone 3-1 on Beltran. Here's a guy that had walked only 5 guys all season long. He walks Turner, and he's 3-1 against Carlos Beltran. You got David Wright and Daniel Murphy. Turner with a handful of batting gloves. Now, normally, guys will put one batting glove in each hand, and that keeps them from dragging their hand if they slide. But he seems to have the gloves just in his right hand, and possibly it's because he uses the right hand to get back to the base, and so he won't transfer one until he starts running.
Or the hand that he puts down is always that left hand where the gloves are.
So then why is he carrying 2 instead of 1?
One of those mysterious questions in baseball.
We'll ask him tomorrow. See, I think he transfers it. I think
it's gone back and forth. Yeah, he has gone back and forth. We'll ask Mookie Wilson, his first base coach.
Beltran fouls it back to the screen.
See if he's running. We'll ask him that too on this 3-2 pitch.
Well, when he starts running, let's see if he transfers one of the gloves to the other hand. Counts full. He is running. Beltran pops it up. Dobbs to the tarp. Another 3-2 pitch coming. 5-5 in the 8th. Turner runs. Beltran fouls it back.
And I didn't see a transfer.
No.
They're still in the left hand.
Another 3-2. That one's hammered, hooking, foul. Beltran just jumped all over that pitch.
Well, this is where you really have to be careful to a guy like Beltran, who's such a good hitter. He's seen a number of pitches now. It's 3-2. You know he's got a pretty good chance to see a strike. Leading the league in extra base hits, leading the league in doubles is Carlos Beltran.
Turner running again. This one's driven into center field and deep. Back goes Bonifacio. And at the track, he makes the catch. Turner had to re-tag and retreat to first.
Now, Turner, there are a lot of guys in a ball hit like that. If you're at first base, you might go a third of the way and then go back and tag up. But because he was running, he got to second base. He actually got a few steps beyond second base. He picks up the ball, sees that it's deep. And then once you go beyond the bag, you have to retouch the bag, which he did. And made it back to first.
Mojica facing David Wright now. Right down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Stanton into the corner. Turner digging for third. Stanton picks it up. They're going to send him. Relay throw. Coming home. It's high. And he scores. Stanton made a great pickup in a wet corner. Infante had to leap for the throw, and he sailed it to the plate.
Well, a nice night for David Wright in his return. He's smoked a couple of balls down that right field line for doubles. One produced a run in the first inning. There's that wet turf out there. Played nicely by Stanton. The throw a little high. I'm not sure if it would have gotten Turner. But David Wright with his second RBI of the game and a big one, his second double as well.
And the end of the line for Edward Mojica. The triumphant return of David Wright. And the Mets are up by a run again.
Truck or van. Who you gonna call? Marooney!
I don't think they're aiming at us.
Well, Randy Choate is aiming at Daniel Murphy. You always have to think squeeze with one down. I mean, they know that Choate is usually around the plate. They also know that Choate is tough against lefties, and Murphy's a lefty.
Infield's in. Wright's at third. Liner, fair. Mets have a 2-run lead. Daniel Murphy with his second RBI of the game.
Well, it looked like Daniel Murphy was just sitting and waiting for a slider. He got the breaking ball, first pitch. It's a pitch that Choate likes to keep away to lefties, and it had some of the plate, and Murphy had a good swing, a good approach. Not many hits this year has Choate given up to left-handers. Only the 7th one all year.
Now the Marlins are going to intentionally walk Angel Pagan. Lucas Duda is due up next. Looks like Scott Hairston emerging on deck. That means the Marlins need to get a right-hander loose in a hurry down in the bullpen.
Hairston has been announced. That's what Jack was waiting for.
So Hairston's been announced. That means Jack's coming in, and Brian Sanchez will come out of the bullpen for the Fish. Jack may have to make another double switch here as well. We'll sort it out after a Maroney call to the pen.
When you need a car, truck, or van.
See that the value of a guy like Bonifacio and the many positions he can play. Hanley Ramirez comes out of the game in this double switch. So Bonifacio comes in at short. So he started the game at third, moved to center, made a nice play on a deep fly ball, and now he's at short. And Brian Sanchez gets ready to work. The number that's not a good one for Brian is in that walks to strikeouts. 37 strikeouts, 31 walks. Too many walks for his liking, and too many walks for him to have success. Hanley looks on after coming out in that double switch.
Hairston now, first and second, one out, with Paulino on deck. Hairston had a 5 RBI game last week, just before the Marlins hit New York. Takes a mean rip at that.
Yeah, he played one night when Beltran was having some flu symptoms and didn't play. Had that 5 RBI night. And Willie Harris played the next night and had a big night.
It was against the Phillies. So his last 10 games, the numbers swollen from that night. 0-2.
It all goes back, Rich, a game like this all goes back to the starters going 5 innings, 3 innings, 4 innings, 5 innings, and having to use that bullpen in different spots that you normally would.
1-2.
If they're going 6 and 7, little different situation.
Big strikeout for Sanchez. Now he goes after Paulino. Well, and your reference to 5 innings is with Volstad tonight, but all you have to do is go back the last.
I'm going back a few games.
There you go. Vasquez 4 1/3 yesterday, then a parade of relievers. Nolasco an inning and a third on Wednesday, and it's a major innings for the arms in the pen.
And pretty soon, that pen just runs out of gas and is hoping for a complete game or 8 innings.
Ryota Igarashi in the Mets pen. Paulino has a sacrifice fly and an infield hit. Daniel Murphy at second. Angel Pagan at first. First of 3, Mets and Marlins. Off the plate, 1 and 2.
Yeah, if you think about it, the last 3 games, the starters have gone 10 and 2/3 innings. And the rest of that load has been on the bullpen.
Two. Jason Pridey on deck. The Mets, when the Marlins saw them on Monday, looked nothing like the team they fielded tonight with all the names they had out. 2-2 coming. Sanchez started towards the dugout. I don't think that caught the corner. And it didn't. Pitch number 6. Now he's 3-2 and everybody gets a head start. Murphy from second, Pagan from first. Slow tapper. Infante gets Paulino. And the inning is over, but the damage is done. The Mets strike for 2. Big hits. David Wright and Daniel Murphy. Coming to the plate. Gabby in the 6th inning took a breaking ball from Mike Pelfrey and put it in the seats. Our Gunther Volkswagen drive of the game.
That's a great look at what you do when you go up with a plan and you get a pitch that you were looking for and you hit it that way.
Pelfrey went 6. 5 hits, 4 runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. Pedro Beato for a third. Tim Burdack for a third. And now Parnell with Hairston in left field.
Yeah, he came in to pinch hit, so he stays in and left.
One. Parnell misses away. That was his batting practice fastball at 93.
Get me over fastball.
Ground ball right. Pulls him off the bag. Safe. Murphy thought he got his foot back on the bag. Chris Guccione, the first base umpire there. You saw him come off. It almost looked like Murphy got back on before Gabby got across. And Murphy is barking about it. Here's a look.
He's off. I think when he comes back, he comes up short because he does get it back in time.
Well, here's a definitive look. Oh, he's out.
Yeah, he got it. He came back. He came back initially short, but then slid it on the bag and got the corner.
So the Marlins get an enormous break, and here is Stanton. Wright will be charged with a throwing error, and Parnell lights it up at 98.
Now Mike's got to get that 31-ounce bat around on about a 98-mile-an-hour heater, and we'll all watch and see how far it goes.
Parnell misses 2-0. Mets bullpen is quiet. Boy, 8 of his 21 homers have come 7th inning or later. I suspect that Mets bullpen will get busy here. Parnell 3-0.
I would also suspect that Mike has the green light.
Walked him. Here comes Dan Worthen. Now you got Mike Cameron coming up. When he came in the double switch, he came into the spot where the pitcher was sitting, and that was 7th in the order. Joe Espada comes down to talk to Cameron.
Talking about the approach he wants him to have against the hard thrower. Ever since the trade of Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod kind of turned it over, and he has one save to Jason Isringhausen, who has fulfilled that role in years past. This guy, Bobby Parnell, they talk about a lot because of the stuff he has, that he has closer stuff, but he hasn't gotten to that level yet.
Some of the best closers in baseball don't have closer stuff.
That's right.
You think about a Trevor Hoffman and the great long career that he had. So let's see how the Marlins approach this. Cameron squares, takes away. One and 0. Brett Hayes is on deck. Then you got Greg Dobbs. Cameron pushes the bunt. Murphy to third. He's out. Close play. And a gamble by Murphy, who kind of snow-coned the bunt. And the Mets get a large out at third base.
Yeah, that's a huge play, and you're right. Watch this ball almost comes out of Murphy's glove. He makes a nice play. I don't know if he got it. That was real close. Of course, the Marlins got a break on the other hand, and he got him. Good throw by Daniel Murphy and a good play, heads-up play, aggressive play.
And a good call by Mike Winters, the third base umpire.
So all ends up even because Gabby was actually out at first base.
Cameron at first, now Stanton at second, and here's Hayes. Suddenly Parnell's able to throw that secondary pitch for a strike.
Yeah, and this thing can fizzle quickly if the Marlins can't capitalize in this inning with 2 men on and nobody out. Now 2 men on and 1 out.
The Marlins have double switched twice. So you've got Cameron in the 7 spot, Dobbs in the 9 spot. The pitcher resides in Hanley's spot, hitting cleanup. And that's popped up. Murphy, who's been involved on every level in this inning, makes the catch. There are 2 outs. And now it's up to Dobbs if the Marlins are going to get anything out of this inning.
We talked about Murphy the other night in New York. In that game, Lucas Duda played first base. Murphy played third. But now that Wright's back, Murphy will find himself probably a little more often over there at first base.
Stanton at second, Cameron behind him at first. Dobbs, a big swing and a miss. Parnell looks much more comfortable throwing the breaking ball now.
Yeah, all of a sudden the slider's there for him.
Doubled up on it. See if he sees another one, or if Parnell tries to blow the fastball by him. Oh, 2. So he's thrown 3 straight sliders to the left-handed hitting Greg Dobbs.
Got a couple of ways. He's a strikeout pitcher. He can try to bury a slider down and in, or he can go up with a fastball about 98. So as a hitter now, you just have to be ready for anything.
Breaking ball, little blooper, and falls for a base hit. Here comes Stanton. He scores. Cameron to third. Greg Dobbs busted his bat and makes it a 1-run game. That makes up for the shot that was caught in the gap his last time up.
Sometimes they don't even out. Sometimes they do within the game. Bat is completely shattered, but Dobbs gets it in the right spot. Stanton able to score, and Cameron able to go. That's an important move. Cameron able to go to third because Bonifacio is the hitter. We know how he can bunt or get infield hits. That allows Cameron to score. So good for him to go from first to third there.
So it's Bonifacio now against Parnell. Bonifacio has walked twice, struck out, singled, scored twice. His hitting streak alive at 21 games. Parnell amping up.
Yeah, he amped up. You could hear him grunt on that pitch. That wasn't a slider. He doesn't grunt on the slider.
One 0. That's out. It's 2-0. Down a run, bottom of the 8th. It's a strike. Not a bad pitch to take, though. At the letters, in on your hands, on the corner. Tough to get around on that.
Hey, you're looking for something out over the plate a little bit.
Toyota Trends, 21-game hit streak, career long, ties for the 4th longest in Major League Baseball this season. There's Mike Cameron. Greg Dobbs across the diamond. 3-1 coming to Bonifacio. He stayed with the fastball.
I think he'll stay with it again.
Dobbs will be moving from first. Fouled it back. Been a long one tonight. Thanks to the efforts of Mike Pelfrey and Chris Volstad. They both kind of labored through this one. Pelfrey went 6. Volstad went 5. Another 3-2. Slider got him. Bobby Parnell strikes out Emilio Bonifacio. Marlins have to settle for 1 run on a hit and an error. 7-6.
By the way, that was just a great pitch that Parnell threw to strike out Bonifacio. He's got that 97, 98 mile an hour fastball, but he struck him out on a 3-2 slider. That was nasty.
Jason Pridey for the Mets. And you got the top of the order, Jose Reyes and Justin Turner. Sanchez came in and got the last 2 outs of the 8th. He's falling behind here 2-1. There is Jason Isringhausen.
No stranger to closing. Izzy with 294 career saves. And a lot of those best years behind him back when he was a Cardinal.
Was drafted by the Mets. Ball's hit pretty well, right center field and deep. Stanton goes back at the track, makes the catch. Tickets of America interactive poll. Biggest disappointment in 2011. Man, it's hard to say David Wright.
Yeah, I can't say that. He's been out 2 months with an injury. And yeah, 2 RBI doubles in this game. Oh, well, we don't vote, Rich.
Reyes, who was 2 for 5, was singled and doubled. Infante picks it up, flips to first. So Brian Sanchez has looked sharp in this ball game. Here is Justin Turner. Turner had a wild adventure on the bases in the 8th. Remember, he was running from first to second on numerous occasions with David Wright at the plate. And then he ended up scoring on the double. He had rounded second on the Beltran at bat and had to scamper back to first. Takes a big cut. It's 0-1. Sanchez misses in. Brian out of Lamar University. His 3rd year with the Fish.
Come in and make some good pitches in this game. Got a couple of big outs in the 8th inning. And he's an out away, getting out of this 9th inning and turning it over to the offense.
One, two. Struck him out inside corner. Sanchez retires all 5 that he has faced, and he delivers the game to the bottom of the 9th with the Mets leading the Marlins by a run. Of the 9th, 7-6, Mets on top. And with K-Rod gone, off to Milwaukee, Jason Isringhausen. As Tommy has pointed out, a long history of closing in the big leagues.
Boy, he's had seven different seasons of 30 or more saves, but again, those back in 04, 05 when he was with St. Louis, saved 47 one year. Lots of cutters, fastball, big power curveball he uses.
Isringhausen, who has a long list of injuries in his career, first got a chance to close with Oakland. And his fastball misses outside.
And Rich, every inning, the Marlins have had at least one base runner. Every inning except the ninth, the Mets had at least one base runner.
Infante. Isringhausen misses outside. And it's 2-0. Remember, the lineup does not feature Hanley Ramirez, so it's Infante, Logan Morrison, and the pitcher spot. And a strike to Infante.
There are those career numbers for Izzy.
Infante in a shallow left center. Pagan calls Pridey off and makes the catch. Here comes Lomo. Yeah, Isringhausen's best years as a closer with the Cardinals. In an ironic twist, he injured his hip in 2006. Closing for Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan, and the Cardinals had to move Adam Wainwright into that closer spot. And of course, Wainwright's biggest close was in Game 7 of the National League Championship Series against the Mets, when he dropped that big breaking ball to strike out Beltran with the bases loaded for the final out, and it sent St. Louis on to the World Series, where they beat the Tigers.
There's that curveball.
It's a pretty good one.
And there was a time, I remember it was a big article in Sports Illustrated when the Mets signed Jason Isringhausen, Paul Wilson, and Bill Pulsifer. And those three were going to take the Mets on. And Isringhausen is still pitching of all those three.
It's much like the hoopla when Oakland had the 4 first-round draft picks, led by Todd Van Poppel long ago.
Hard-throwing Texan, another hard-throwing Texan.
1-2 coming. Got him outside corner. Isringhausen has the first 2 outs of the 9th. And the Marlins are left with Dwayne Wise.
They kind of lulled him with that curveball and then put him away with a fastball. Good pitch. Just good pitches by Isringhausen.
Wise shortens the bunt, takes outside. Isringhausen, a center fielder in junior college, and only began to pitch after the Mets drafted him.
That's amazing after all the surgeries. I mean, you look at the list of times he's been on the disabled list, it takes up almost a whole page. He still throws hard.
2-1. Now you got Gabby Sanchez on deck. And if you're Isringhausen, you want to obviously pitch to Dwayne Wise rather than bring Gabby up with a runner at first and 2 outs. Wise drives it to left, hits it pretty well. Pridey back, and he makes the catch at the track. And the Mets win the ball game. Isringhausen gets a bear hug from Paulino. David Wright off the disabled list. His first action in a couple of months. And he hurts the fish, as he always has done in his career. RBI double in the first. Another RBI on this double in the 8th. Knocking home Turner, our checkers double of the game. And why not make him our SunTrust performer of the game? The Mets climb a game over 500, 50 and 49, and the Marlins are in a tailspin again. They've dropped 4 in a row, 47 and 53. Marlins Live is coming up.